So those are many or some of the problems that can occur due to difficult in-laws. Now, I want to say one thing to be very fair. And as I explained initially, having a difficult um, in-law that represent the rare occasion, but nevertheless, those are the ones that can make life very difficult and we need to discuss. One of the things I would like to bring up, though, that the Lord who said, honor your father and mother, he is the same God who said, leave your father and mother and cling with your wife. So it's very clear and very important basis for our discussion today that each one of you as a husband or a wife, you need to understand biblically where do you stand from your wife and from your parents. You love them both, you honor them both, but now your wife or your husband became number one and your parents or in-laws became number two. That's not dishonoring, but rather that's a different rank after you got married. Your time, your attention, your secrets, your direct relationships, your affairs should be number one with your wife or your husband. Your relationships with your parents has to be number two. Your secrets must be remaining in your house, not with your parents. You answer to your spouse, not to your parents. You still honor them, but the honor does not cling. The honor does not mean you are not weaned off. The honor means if they need you, God forbid they are sick, you and your spouse under their feet serving. But on the other hand, you are always clinging, uniting, and separating from clinging and uniting with your wife or spouse while separating and weaned off from your parents. So, what to do now with difficult in-laws? And let me get to one or two questions before I answer. My mother-in-law is very, very nosy. She has to know everything in my married life. My husband cannot tell her no. I feel life is not mine anymore. I don't have kids yet. I'm thinking even not to have kids or even get separated from this family. I love my husband a lot, but I can't live like this. Please tell me what to do. Another question, then I'll answer both. My in-laws are not Coptic. They go to another Christian church. They wanted my child to be baptized in their church and I refused. Anyway, they keep asking me to move my child to a school close to them. I do not find it convenient to my husband and myself. The conversation keeps arising multiple times. Should I be rude to draw my boundaries? So the first question was related to nosy parents. The other question is related to controlling parents. And let me give you some insight, ideas, advices on how to be respectful, but in the same time, live your life as you wish to live. And I want to remind every in-law listening to me today, and of course the spouses can remind their parents. When they got married, they separated from their parents and their in-laws. And your mom used to hate her mother-in-law because she is invading and infiltrating her life. Remind your parents and your in-laws how difficult it was when the in-laws start to their in-laws start to invade their privacy, asking them to move the child to a closer place, getting into areas of privacy that they have no business asking in. Remind them that it was not easy on them, why they are trying to make it difficult on you. With that said, number one response that I need you to have is to have a united front. You and your spouse must be united when dealing with a difficult in-laws. The difficult in-laws may be her mother or your mother, his mother or your mother, but at the end of the day, talk to each other, open up with each other, tell each other we love each other, we want to be united, and we appreciate and honor our parents, but we need to be one body, one soul, one spirit. You need, as a couple, to agree on to be united and never allow anyone, it could be his mother or your mother, it could be your sister or her sister, but you must be united. And united, I mean leaning on each other, deciding, making decisions in a united manner, not in a unilateral manner, discussing matters with each other, telling secrets and be sincere and do not keep secrets from each other. That's what keeps you in united front. So when an in-laws come to tell you, did she tell you about this? Of course she told me. Do you know that he is going to do this? Of course I know, and I agree with him. They cannot invade you because you are united. I'm not saying they are bad people, but sometimes weaning off is difficult on them. Sometimes trying to separate is difficult on a parent. Appreciate the difficulty they have, because maybe one day you will go through it. But in the same time, do not break up with your spouse in being united, because otherwise you will never be able to answer a question coming from outside. Number two, please do not stop loving them. They are, after all, the source who have given you your spouse. Your mother-in-law is the reason for your wife or your husband. So love them, pray for them, thank God for them. Number 3 or 4, establish boundaries. As they say, good fences make good neighbors. Good fences make good neighbors. If you don't have a fence and your neighbor back and forth coming in, his kids are playing in your backyard, they bring the barbecue, they go in and out, after a while you will fight. Even if you are one family, you will fight. Good fences make good neighbors. Establish boundaries, and really you and your spouse agree on these boundaries, because number one was united front. So if you want to have peace and peace of mind with your spouses, it's important to set boundaries, and the sooner is better than later. What does that mean? If they want to come and tell you, we want your child to come and in a school near us, you and your husband discussed it, and you are united in your decision and where the kid will go. Your husband and yourself will come and talk to the in-laws and say, we love you very much. We will bring the child as much as possible, but we, both of us, agreed to enter him in that school. It's better for us, convenient to us. We will bring him over when we can. We are very sorry. This is our decision, not anyone's decision. You say it respectfully, you say it lovingly, you say it without insulting and not being angry. Do not please postpone making the boundaries Because if you postpone and you say, okay, let me just let her have this today, let me tell them, okay, they can come and cook for us. Maybe if I let her cook once a week for us, she will be okay. No. If you both do not like a parent to come and cook for you once a week because all of a sudden she becomes, infiltrating in many things, then you both agree that the boundary is, thank you very much, we would love to have you cook for us, but only once a month. It's a boundary. It's a limit. It's a clear limit. That doesn't mean lack of love. It's actually respect and love together, because if the frequency increases, number one, there will be clashes, you and your in-laws, but more importantly, clashes between you and your spouse, which eventually will all reflect on your children. If, for example, they need to give you money, and by them giving you money, it allows them to sort of getting in an angle where they need to check on you periodically. Why are you taking money from them? Why don't you go and get a loan rather than take it from your in-laws? Could be completely benign, but if you both agree that taking money from our in-laws will give them more freedom to ask and infiltrate and invade our privacy, then put the limits that do not take money. If, for example, your parents want to live in the basement with you, and if they do that, eventually they will be inside your living room every single night. Why are you allowing that to happen? Even if you have to put out of pocket money to get them an apartment or a studio somewhere, it will give you peace of mind, and you will be enjoying your married life and enjoying the peace with your parents and in-laws. All of this do not ever constitute hate or enmity, but rather wisdom, because fences bring good relations. So number one, being united. Number two, do not let things be without limits, without fences. Put boundaries and make the boundaries clear and they are not wavering, in other words. You made the boundary and you stick to it. You don't go back on the boundary, because once you start getting back on your boundaries, you will give an inch, you will take a mile, and again, it's your call, but it's better to keep distance, because they themselves, when they were young, kept distances from their in-laws. The next point is, please communicate directly with whoever is offensive. If your in-laws, for example, are crossing the line and you know that it's going to cause a major problem. Let's say you found your mom is insulting your wife. Why are you waiting to talk to your mom about it? You found your dad is really interfering in the finances, affairs of the house. Why you are not telling your dad to stop intervening in your finance? Communicate directly with the offending party. Dad, we love you so much and we appreciate your wisdom, but we as a young couple want to try things. We may make mistakes, but it's good to make mistakes because we will learn from it. But if you keep correcting everything, if you keep coming and tell me what to do and everything, if your mom wants to come and cook for us every day, how I'm going to have my own house? How I'm going to have communicate directly with whoever is offending, and whenever possible, speak to the in-laws directly. Be sincere, be clear, be honest, be respectful, but in the same time, do not delay speaking. So I have another question. My in-laws live in Egypt. They aren't in need, but they always ask my husband for money. As we live in the States, they think that we are rich and we have to send money from them to spend and buy land and such stuff. We have been used for we have been used for years now, and we have two boys. We want to secure their future here. I know that my husband is not comfortable as well. What should I do? So one of the mistakes or the problems that in-laws sometimes do is financial sort of pressuring. I am very glad that you and your husband are united because your husband also is not comfortable with it, which really 50% of the solution. Unfortunately, sometimes the husband will say, I need to send to my family. So number one, I want to say, if your in-laws are in need of money, you should tell their son, who is your husband, please send them money. Very clear. God forbid if someone needs surgery and they don't have the means, you, before your husband, should be the first one to encourage your husband to send them money for the surgery. Now, from the way the question was raised, they are not asking for money, or they don't need the money for major need, but rather for because they think you are much more rich than them. No, the answer is absolutely no. They lived their life, and now you need to live yours. You need to clearly indicate the boundary, and your husband should clearly indicate, Mom, Dad, I'm very sorry. I may not be able to send on periodic basis. I will send when I can because I need to really save for my two boys. More than likely they will understand. But if they don't, that's okay. If they get upset, that's okay. If they actually blame you, I am sorry, that's okay. It's not always okay to please everybody. You may not please your in-laws sometimes. If you are in peace with your husband and you know from a Christian attitude you are not hurting them, please do not blame yourself. It's okay not to please everyone. Sometimes we cannot please everyone around us. And this is one of them. You need the money. You certainly need it more than them because you are beginning your life. They are not in need for any emergency. Hence, please stop sending money and do not feel ashamed or guilty about it. So, how do I deal with difficult in-laws? What I said so far, maintain or try to have a united front, and that's half of the problem. 2, establish boundaries as soon as possible and do not break them because good fences bring good families. 3, communicate directly and instantly with the person who is offending you. And I gave the example of if your mom insulted your wife, if your mom told your wife the way that she is dealing with her kids is wrong, if your dad told your husband, I don't like the way you are painting the room, I want each one of you to talk immediately to his or her parent. Mom, Dad, thank you so much. We appreciate your wisdom, but we like to manage our house, our children, our cooking, our painting, our finance, our business, in the way we want it. Should we need an advice, we will ask you. But we appreciate that you don't talk to my wife this way because you may not mean it, but the way you spoke to her today was a little bit offensive, and I want her to always love you, and I want us always to be united. I would appreciate that you do not intervene in the way she deals with her kids. If I find something wrong, me and her will talk. You, number one, verbalize that you are united, so your mom cannot take you to her side. Number two, you made it very clear you are respecting your wife. Number three, you made it very clear that under no circumstances your spouse should be insulted by a parent. And number four, you told them we need to live our life. Let's get to a different advice. Please do not procrastinate or ignore the problem. Meaning, you see that your parents are too controlling, and your wife complained a lot that they are always trying to manage our lives. How long you are going to let the problem go? The longer you wait, the more the chronic becomes, and believe me, the resentment that your wife will have against you, not against your parents, will be difficult to heal. You know why? Because you did not take an action to stop the outside control from continuing. It's much easier if you decide that you are stopping the problem from becoming too long. So you go to the parents and you talk to them. Mom, I have seen that for the last couple of years, you have been always trying to come to the house. You want to show my wife how to cook or how to clean or how to raise the children. I would prefer from now on you don't do that. Why? I'm doing this to help her. I'm helping her. I love her all the time. Why do you do this? You are hurting me. With all respect, Mom, when you were young in her age, you did not want Tata to invade or infiltrate. Please make us live our life the way we want it. But she doesn't know how to do this. I'm trying to teach her. Let her make mistakes. We will ask you if we need to. But please, I don't want you ever to continue trying to fix things. We want to do it in the way we want it. Another advice. Next advice is please avoid what they call knee-jerk reactions, which meaning if you get insulted by a parent, please stop responding that time. Normally, if you do, you will land yourself in a fire, explosiveness, and you probably will end up by regretting your response. Your father-in-law insulted something, said something not nice, and you want to just answer him back. Believe me, you are not getting any good thing out of it. Swallow your pride, wait maybe a couple of hours or a couple of days. Then both of you talk about it and then go and talk to the offending party. If you decide to respond instantly, the chances of making mistakes in the acute setting more than likely will be non-Christian attitude. Some language will come out very uncontrollable. You will end up by hurting other people, and the words that come out probably will not be able to be forgiven. Question. My in-laws are sweet, but my husband is not a good son. He treats me well, but he mistreats his parents. Wow. I'm afraid that my kids will become like him when they grow up. Very different angle than what I'm talking about. I remember the Chinese parable or story. I want to say it to this wife. Maybe she can tell her husband. So one time, a father was putting a cup of cereal to his son. So the grandfather walked in, his father. So the son went to get him a bowl of cereal. He said, no. I have my father's plate. So he went and got him a very cheap kind of wooden plate and a wooden spoon. And he put the cereal there. So the three ate, the father and the son eating in nice plates. The grandfather is eating in the wooden plate. After the grandfather left, the kid asked the father, Dad, why did you give grandpa this plate? So he told him, your grandpa is very old and he breaks things, so I have to give him this. So the son said, Oh, okay. Dad, can you make sure do not throw this plate so when you get older I can feed you in it with it? You see the point? The point is what we do to our parents in insults will come back to us. That's why nothing of what I said today is insulting. When I say put boundaries, I never meant insulting. It has to be done with respect and honor and reverence, but in the same time, nothing wrong with making sure everyone knows where they step in or out. So far we mentioned as advices for those who are having difficult parents or in-laws to have number one, the united front, communicate directly with the offending person, avoid instant responses, do not ignore the problem, and setting boundaries. The next point is understand that there are differences. They have a different culture and you have a different education and maybe a different culture. As we heard from example, they may not be even came from the same country. Understand there will be differences. Put up with what you can put up and then request that you cannot be comfortable with that idea or that culture. Another point, be sure that you can do everything you can, but in the same time, you cannot please everybody. Do your best to please, but if you can't please some people, as long as your conscious intentions are good, that's fine. Please also do not imagine you can change your in-laws. They are probably 65 or older, 75 or older. Don't try to change them. Change yourself if you can't, but if you cannot put up with their attitude or culture or ideas, then stop trying to change them. Also, please be realistic. There are certain things that you cannot resolve, and you have to accept what you can never change. So if you can put the boundaries, but if they continue to be controlling, you are going to say, I'm sorry, we will visit you only once a month. We cannot visit you every day or every week. We cannot come for brunch every Sunday. We are only coming for brunch the last Sunday of the month. Whatever you agree on. But be realistic, but in the same time, put boundaries. Finally, be kind. After all, these people, you want their prayers, you want them to bless you, and you want them to be happy in their last years. So please remember, you are doing everything and God needs to be pleased with whatever you do. So I like you to be always making sure your intentions are good, you are not mean, you are not dishonoring, you are not deceptive, you are not trying to hurt people's feelings, but in the same time, your priority, your home, which means your spouse and children. Number two, your parents and in-laws. I hope this episode was beneficial. I hope and pray that until I see you next time, you may like to send me some questions. Next time, I would like to handle a topic regarding teenage. Can I have a girlfriend or a boyfriend in teenage? In other words, Are teens allowed to date? Until I see you next time in Family Matters, have a good night. Thank you.